Jesse,
Huh?
you were sleep fishing again.
What? Oops. Hi, Jesse here from Wade Up Fly Fishing. You know, it's the dead of winter right now, and here in town the river's just at the right flow, fish are all pulled up, and I like to do my Euro nymphing rod. And we're going to go over kind of the setup I use today, which as I found has worked pretty well for me. So when I'm out on the river, I kind of like to use just a dedicated rod for my Euro nymphing. This here is a Tempo Fork blue ribbon 10-foot 5-weight 4-piece rod. And you know, I've got my other rods I use for nymphs and dries and such, but they're always kind of just set up in the double barrel rod case, you know. So because this is a 10-foot, I haven't really found more of a permanent rod case for this yet, so I've been using the setup I got with the rod. But this 10-foot rod gives me plenty of reach when you're out on the river. If you're just starting out to Euro nymph, you don't necessarily need to have a 10-foot rod or 11-foot. You can do 9-foot or 7.5-foot or whatever you got. But this gives you a little bit more reach. It's kind of handy to have. So when I'm out on the river, I'll just grab this reel here that I've got set up for my Euro nymphing. And you know, I was a sportsman one day and found this on sale. It's nothing fancy, but I kind of like it because it's a CNC machine. And when I saw that CNC machined reel, I just had to have it. So on the reel, I've got, see if I can pull this out. I've got just an old, it's actually my first line, which was just a hand-me-down line. At one point it was a real nice line, but after I fished with it for quite a long time, it got to be quite old and started getting cracks on it and all kinds of stuff. So I did come across this Rio Shorty nymph line. That says, I think it's a 20-foot line with a welded loop on each end. So I strolled over to the fly shop and took this old line and I trimmed it down so that I could get rid of the real old section and just had the fly shop guys just put a welded loop on there. So it's considerably shorter, and so I had to kind of make up some of that with some additional backing. But I've been fishing with this setup now for a year, maybe a year and a half, and this Euro nymph line, you know, when it's set up, it doesn't really come out of the old fly line doesn't really come out of the end of the rod, so it's kind of nice to have that set up, and it's got a fairly long orange section here, which is what I see on top of the water. So it does a great job with the visibility, and I don't have to fiddle with, you know, curly cues or, you know, tag ends or, you know, I used to have just a two-tone nymph indicator line, but I didn't really care for that because the color just wasn't right. But this orange does a great job of standing out on the water. So on the end of that, I've got a butt section here of some chameleon. I think this is like a 15-pound. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can just take, you know, just an old leader and chop off the butt section and put that on. And then I've got a blood knot with like some 2 or 3X material here, and then I've got just a double surgeon's knot that I put my tippet on, and I just use whatever tippet. It's usually like a 4 or 5X here in Boise. But from there, I like to use what, and there's probably another name for it, but I call it the snake tongue approach. Now, this one here is a little bit worn because I've got just a real short tag, but what I'll do is I'll take my point fly, and then I'll put my dropper on. And I like to do this because a lot of times when you're in the fly shop or you're setting up your Euro nymphs at home, you're going to be using barbless hooks. And if you have ever tried to tie on a tag fly onto another barbless hook, you'll find it just falls off. So if you have this approach, it does a great job. So you just put your point fly on, here a good distance down, and then you leave this tag, and then you have one here. So it kind of comes out real good, and they kind of float in the water really well. And then you can vary the size. But all this is just a simple double surgeon's knot, and I'll just pick one of the tags and leave it hanging on there and trim one of the others off, and that gives me a nice fairly perpendicular tag, and they don't really get tangled much out on the river. And so what I do when I get to the river, because I'll take this out and get it spooled up on the rod, and then I'll take my my point fly, and I'm using right here, I've got my tungsten flash mob. The fish really like this fly. I'll put a link in the description of my Etsy store where you can buy these if you feel like you want to give that a shot. But I'll just tie this guy on, and because when I first started, I found that if I tied both flies on and strolled on down to the river, that one fly would just get tangled up like crazy by the time I got down to the river. So I'll take this and hook it onto my rod here, and as I'm strolling to the river, the point tag is just kind of hanging there, and then when I get down to my spot, I'll put on my second fly. That way I'm not undoing a bird cage by the time I get down there. But lately I've been using the tungsten flash mob. The fish have really been taking the squirmy worm. They really like those flies. Just some junky kind of attractor patterns, something to really get their attention. But this setup here is bound to get you some fish during the hard winter times. I don't really fool much with the indicators this time of year. When it's cold out there, the last thing I want to be doing is untangling big bird cage knots from, indicators and, split shot. So this simple setup minimizes all of that. It's just kind of a minimalist approach to my fly fishing through the winter time, and the fish just love it. So get yourself out there and give the Euro nymphing thing a shot. And be a Euro dork, it's okay. It's not a big deal. We'll see you on the river. Oh, mercy. Must have dozed off. I had an awfully cold day of fishing today, and took that Euro rig out to the river. Caught a whole pile of whitefish, a couple big fat rainbows. Of course, they weren't super long, but nice wild ones. It's pretty uncommon on the Boise River because I usually dump a bunch of stalkers in there, but I got lucky today. But I want to thank you all for spending a little time with us as we go over the Euro rig, and we look to see you again as you continue to watch these videos. And make sure you like and subscribe, and if you got some comments, make sure you drop those in. We can chit chat about the video, what I can improve on. But there may be some links in the description that you might enjoy. We'll see you next time. Thanks.